Hello friends, in this tutorial you will learn how to set up a Python VENV virtual environment on Windows, especially Windows 11. So in the first section, we will learn what is a VENV or a Python virtual environment is, and a brief description of the structure of the VENV. Then we will learn how to create a VENV virtual environment on Windows, especially Windows 11. This will work also on Windows 10. Now we'll also learn how to activate and deactivate a VENV on Windows. This one. Then we'll also learn how the activation script works and how does a virtual environment works and how does it deals with the Python interpreter. Then we'll also solve common errors such as the PowerShell based activate.ps1 cannot be loaded error, this one. And we'll also teach you about how to solve this particular error. After which we will install packages locally into the Python virtual environment, and we will also run a Python script using those installed packages. First thing we are going to do is to install the Python interpreter on our Windows platform. Here we are using the Windows 11 operating system. So you can go to the official website, that will be python.org, this one, and from there you can download your required Python interpreter. So the latest version is Python install manager, and you also have the standalone installer which is called Python 3.14.2. So you can download either one of them and install it on your PC. So I will show the Python standalone installer first. I have downloaded this thing here. You can double click, and there are two options for this one. This is a 64-bit version for Windows 11. You can install now, which is the default installation. It includes everything you want, or you can do the customized installations. Always tick these two things so that most of your problems are solved. So I'll be using the Python manager 24.0 to install the interpreter on my system. So you can double click on this one, and this is the Python install manager. This is the latest one. They are phasing out the other one. So I'll just install the Python. You can give Y. You don't need to, and the installation is complete. So here I will be giving a description about the Python virtual environment, what a virtual environment is, and how it is useful for our Python software development. So here we'll be using VENV Python virtual environment. There are a lot of other Python virtual environments like Conda, virtualenv, UV, etc. So here we'll be dealing only with the VENV environment, that is this particular one. Before the introduction of Python virtual environments, when we want to install a specific package into our Python installation, it will be installed within the main system folder. So it will be something like C, Python libraries or something like that. All your packages will be installed in that particular packages. So as you develop your system or as you do software development, the library section, that is the packages, will get cluttered, and it may cause some conflict with the other programs that may use the Python environment. So to reduce such conflicts, we are going to use a Python virtual environment. So basically, Python virtual environment is a directory which will contain something called as a Python interpreter. It could be a copy of the Python interpreter or a symlink to the main Python interpreter in the system. So this is a basic block diagram of a VENV Python virtual environment. So it's a simplified block diagram. So the virtual environment will contain a Python interpreter, a pip, package installer, and activation scripts. These activation scripts are used to activate the Python virtual environment and to deactivate that particular one. So there will be a directory called as local site packages. So whatever packages we will be installing, that will be installed locally inside this particular directory. Now we are going to create the virtual environment on Windows. So for that, you have to click the Windows icon here, and from here you can search for PowerShell. So you can use the system default PowerShell or PowerShell 7, which I have installed separately. You can press open from here. So we have the PowerShell here. Now we'll make a directory. This is the directory in which we will store all our project files, including the virtual environment and the source codes. So we'll call it as Windows VENV project. So we have created the directory, and inside the directory, we'll create something called as a src directory. So this is where we will store all our Python source codes. So right now we won't be using that. So now the directory structure looks something like this. You have the Windows VENV project directory, and inside that there is the src directory. Now we'll create a VENV environment inside the Windows VENV project directory. So for that you have to type python -m venv. Here venv is the package that will be creating the virtual environment. You can give any name to this particular virtual environment. You can give it myven, ven, anything like that. So I'm going to just give it ven. So this is the tool that is creating the environment. This is the name of our environment, this one, the last one. So this will generate a folder inside the Windows VENV project directory. So you can press enter. Now you can see that inside this there is a directory called as venv, and you can go inside venv if you want to. Inside that there will be multiple directories called include, lib, script, pyvenv.cfg, like that. So you can see that the venv have created a directory called as include, lib, and scripts. Inside the lib you can see another folder called site-packages. So inside that there will be something called as pip and pip 25.2 folders. So this is a simplified diagram showing the different parts of the venv environment. So if you use the tree command, it will actually show a lot of other stuff also, which I have conveniently edited out. So I will give you a block diagram of the Windows VENV. So inside the VENV environment, you can have these particular folders. So this is the main one, the script folder. It will contain the activation scripts. These are actually batch files or PowerShell scripts, which are used to turn on and off the virtual environment. So they are called as activation scripts. So that you can also find a copy of the Python interpreter inside the script folder, this one. And you can also find a pip installer inside the scripts one. So when the Python environment is active, it will be using the Python interpreter, which is inside this particular folder. It will not be using our system Python, which is located on a separate folder inside the app data folder of the main installation. The include folder is usually used for storing the C header files. They are used for compiling certain specific packages which needs to be compiled. So in most of your Python development, you won't be using this particular include one. So next one will be the lib one. So whenever you are installing any package inside our virtual environment, it will be installed inside the site packages, and there will be a separate folder for your package that you want to install. Your package will not be installed in the main system, but inside this particular folder. So that means that your work environment is contained inside the virtual environment itself. Now we will have a configuration file which will tell you about the parameters that are used to create the virtual environment, whether we want to use the system Python package or not. A lot of that information will be there. You won't be editing any of these particular files. These are just for the venv to check. To use our Python virtual environment, we have to first activate the virtual environment. This is actually done by using the activation scripts that are inside the scripts directory. So that will be this one, scripts directory. So you can find multiple activation scripts. So we are using PowerShell, so we'll be using the activate.ps1. If you're using the command line cmd.exe, you have to use the activate.bat or deactivate.bat to deactivate the environment. Since we are on PowerShell, we will be using the activate command. For that, you can give dot, then you have to give the backslash when scripts activate. So you don't have to actually tell .ps1, it will automatically use that one. So just press enter and you will get this particular error message. So you'll be getting something known as activate.ps1 cannot be loaded because the running script is disabled on the system. This is because the PowerShell has something called as an execution policy, which controls which scripts get executed on the system. So by default, it will be restricted. So you have to change that. So you can check that by using the get execution policy. That is this particular PowerShell command, which will give you the execution policy of your current shell. So it will say restricted. So we have to change that one. So we have to use something known as set execution policy. This should be remote signed. So this PowerShell command will change the execution policy of the PowerShell. So we will be using something called as remote sign. That means that the scripts that are locally created by us can be executed safely, and also those scripts which have been remotely signed with a valid cryptographic signature can be executed. So we are also using the scope parameter. That means that this will be only allowed for this particular session of the shell. So I'll run this particular one, and then you can check it. You'll use the get execution policy, and it says remote signed. That means that we can execute our PowerShell script. You can find all the required scripts on our website. So you can just copy it from there and use it. So the link is actually in the description. You can use it you can use that. So you don't have to memorize this particular one. So now you can activate this particular one. So I'll just activate it. So when you activate the virtual environment, the command prompt actually changes. So you can see when you can see that it is written when within the parenthesis. So this will be the name of the virtual environment. So we have used the name as when, so it will be when. If we have created it as my when, it will be my when. It will change according to the name. So now we are inside the virtual environment. So when we call the Python interpreter at this stage, the virtual environment will activate the Python environment within the scripts folder. That will be this particular Python interpreter will be used instead of the system one. So you can deactivate the Python virtual environment also. So you just have to type deactivate. So no need to use dot or slash. This is actually a function that is loaded into the memory of the PowerShell by the script. So you can just use deactivate, and we are back to the normal command prompt. So you can see that when is not there, that means that we are outside the virtual environment. So this is the basic activation and deactivation of the virtual environment. So now we are outside the virtual environment, and I will show you one thing. We will use the get command Python. So it will show the location of the Python used by this particular PowerShell. So I'll press enter. Now you can see that our PowerShell is using this particular python.exe. That is the main Python that we have installed on our system. This is before activating our virtual environment. Now I will activate our virtual environment. Then I will run the same command again, get command Python. So now you can see that the virtual environment is using the python.exe inside the virtual scripts folder. That is this particular one. So whatever you do inside this particular virtual environment, it will be using this python.exe. Now when you deactivate, it will go back to the old one. I will run it again. So now it will be using the old one, this one. In this section, I will tell how the activation script works on Windows. So this section is not required, but I'm just going to add this in our tutorial. So you will know how the activation script changes the Python VENV environment. So basically, when you are running the activation script, it changes the path environment first, and it also changes the prompt. And finally, it also uploads the deactivate function into the memory of the PowerShell process. So you can run it to deactivate the PowerShell. So I'll show so this will show the path variable. As you can see that the default one, that is our Python, is in this particular section. So when you run Python right now, this will activate the system Python. So when you run the activation script, the script will add the location of our Python, that is the Python which is inside the VENV environment, at the top of the Python variable. So when Windows searches for this particular Python, it will encounter our VENV Python first, before encountering the the system Python. So I'll activate this one and I will show you the path right now. As you can see, the location of our when Python is at the top. So when Windows checks for the Python environment, it will encounter this location first and will use our Python environment first. So this is how the activation script works. Now we are going to install a package inside our virtual environment. So we'll be using the PySerial package, which is widely used for communicating with other serial port devices. For example, if you want to communicate with an Arduino from your PC, you can use the PySerial. We also have a tutorial on that one. You can check it in the description. So I will first we have to activate the virtual environment. Now you can call the pip install PySerial. So this will install the PySerial inside our virtual environment. This one we installed in our system Python library, just inside our Windows VENV project. Now the PySerial is installed in our local environment. So you can use it if you want to. You can check it. You can call the Python, that is the local Python. And you can type import serial. No, it will not create any error. Now you can check it out. This is the Python virtual environment. So inside that lib site packages, you can find the PySerial. These two things. So this is installed locally. So if I get out of the virtual environment, you won't be able to access that one. So I'm outside the virtual environment and I'm calling the Python. So if I ask for import, it won't work because it is not installed inside the system. Now I will install one more thing, that will be TTK Bootstrap. This is a GUI library. Now we'll create a simple program. So I'll just copy it from my website. This is the code. It's available on our website. So I'll save it inside the source code, that is this particular folder. And I'll call it mypythonprogram.py. So it will try to open a serial port and it will print the characteristic of that serial port. So we can go to Python. We will run the code. So we have to find the source and we'll print it. So it will show this particular information. This doesn't do anything. I just want to see that. I just want to show you how the code works. So you can put other information into your program and you can run it like this one. So this is how you run the code. Now you can use the pip freeze command to see what all packages are installed inside your virtual environment. So you can see that we have installed PySerial and TTK Bootstrap like this one. And then you can save it inside a requirements.txt file so that we can other people can recreate your virtual environment. So you can just call it requirements.txt. So you can see that all this information is here and you can use it to recreate your virtual environment. I will create another virtual environment. So I will make dir just call it other one and you can see and then inside this one you can recreate the previous one. So for that one you can create the now we want to see what all things are installed on this one. First you activate this one. Now you check the pip freeze. So we have to recreate the previous one. So we will use the requirements.txt. So this is the one that is from the Windows VENV project. So we'll copy this one. We'll put it inside the other one. So then we'll ask this one to pip install -r requirements .txt. Now the pip will install all the required libraries that we have previously used. So the other people can recreate your environment. So it will have that TTK Bootstrap, PySerial, and other packages that were available in the other one. So just press enter. So I'll run the pip freeze. So we can see that the other one, that is the second one, also have the same packages, and we can use the same library. You can create it inside a So this is how you create and use a virtual environment on a Windows 11 system. So if you like our tutorial, do like and subscribe. And you can also find all the required information in the description. All the commands are available on our website. You can check it from there. Also, do check our online store also. So this is our website. You can check it from here. And all the required things are here. So I hope you liked our tutorial, and please do like and share. Thank you.